The harbor rework is here, so let's take a look at what on earth is going on. Now, the music in this video is horrific, so I'm going to spare you the music. We're just going to take a look at what's going on, and then there's another bit that explains it in a bit more detail, but here we go. Still got the high tide here, but it's actually not his signature anymore, so keep that in mind. You got this thing, which is interesting, right? Looks like some kind of whirlpool effect, you know, kind of maybe like an astrosuck. We'll see in a second. Maybe a stun there at the end as well. Then this is the ult. Now, obviously, it's like a big cascade. This is what we thought was rumored already. This kind of like tidal wave thing. What it does exactly, it looks like it nearsights people when it hits them. So it's some sort of wave that nearsights them. And then as we see, you can then push this out and activate a shield on the Cove as well. So they've changed the Cove to be a smoke that you can throw out like so, but you only get one of them, and you can activate a shield on it. Now, that's certainly interesting. Okay, so coming to the other video here, you can see we've got kind of this bit of text explaining what's going on. So, equip high tide, fire to send vision blocking screen forward along the ground, hold fire to guide the screen towards your crosshair, hold fire to stop the screen early. All players crossing high tide are slowed. So that seems exactly the same, as far as I can tell, that it was before, but it isn't the signature anymore, which we talked about. So the part that I really don't like here is all players crossing the high tide are slowed. I think that that's a really bad design. I've talked about this before. For instance, if let's say you're here on Lotus, right? You're in this position that this harbor's in, and you want to smoke off C main, right? You want to smoke off that choke point. Well, your wall is also going to go past Waterfall, which your allies need to come in through, right? Like, your allies need to get through that wall to get in onto the site. I really, you know, I try to give the benefit of the doubt to the devs where I can, because I think it's, you know, not an easy job, but this is bad design. It is just bad design. I have no other words for it. It is bad design to have a controller that debuffs allies with their smoke. It doesn't make any sense. Here we go again. I guess maybe you could argue it's not the signature anymore, so you could make that argument, but I think, especially with this ability where your control of it is just lesser in general, having to slow your allies, I'm not a fan. I really don't think it's very good design at all. But so it looks like the high tide though largely is staying the same, outside of the fact that you're just getting one of them around and it's not your signature anymore, which we'll talk about in a bit. Storm Surge. Equip Storm Surge, fire to throw, creating an explosive whirlpool that nearsights and slows enemies within it after a short duration. So this guy just threw it here, so you see it. That looks like the little wind up, and then it goes off. And it's going to slow and nearsight people. I mean, that seems perfectly fine. I just want to quickly check, actually. Did you get one or two of them? You got one, it looks like that. So you got one of all of the abilities. So if you had two of them, that would be very good, of course. But only getting one, I guess, makes some sense with, you know, the kind of general direction of the game. But is that a good ability? I mean, it seems like a fairly decent area there as well. So... and it seems to go off relatively fast. I think that's a pretty good ability, right? Slowing and nearsighting people, like if you think about them being slowed in this spot, like combining those two, that means that, you know, you can't really like jump away, right? You're gonna have to stay there if you get hit by this, just being nearsight. Now, obviously nearsight you can see further than you previously could, but still, that's not a good position to be in. So I actually think that's a pretty good ability overall. We'll see how far you can throw it. I'm gonna guess you could throw it like a Cove. Right, okay. Cove. Well, they've changed Cove to this now. Equip Cove. Activate to form a smoke in the select location. Hold fire or ult fire while targeting to move the marker. So like Omen. Reload to toggle the targeting view. Okay, yeah, like Omen. Reactivate to shield the smoke from bullets. Shielded smoke can be destroyed. So parts of this that I like that it's, you know, obviously this is fixing one of the main problems of Harbor, which is not having, you know, a smoke that you can place across the map. I like that you can choose whether it has a shield or not. I think that that's cool. I think that that's nice. I like giving players, you know, the choice of what they want to do with an ability, because that shows a skill expression, right? So you can have it be a normal smoke where they can't shoot it and it will last however long it lasts, 15 seconds if I had to guess, or you can have the shielded version, which they can destroy and it will go down. I like that. That's cool design. I think that's good. So I'm happy with the change. I'm guessing you just press the same button to give it the shield, if I had to guess. But yeah, I'm happy with that change. That's okay. And then it's still called Reckoning, the ult. So here we go. Quick Reckoning. Fire to unleash the full power of your artifact, releasing a surge of water that barrels forward to near sight and slow enemies that are hit. Okay. So we talked about this, that, you know, why include this? Because it's cool. And it does look quite cool, I will say. Did the ult need a change? That I think you could argue. Is this ult actually better than the old one? Maybe not, because the information gained from the old one was pretty good. Right? Sometimes you would harbor ult a site, see that nothing went off, and knew, like, okay, we have a free site. Right? It was one of those ults that kind of like no matter what happened, like you were getting value from it. Right? If it goes off and no one's there, you're still getting some value from it, right? Like when you use this ult and it's an empty site, you're not really getting that much. You're still gonna have to check, you know, every corner. You can't just sprint in. So I liked the old one for that reason, that basically there never was like a terrible use of it. It always gave you something. This one, you know, kind of like a breach or whatever, you know, won't always give you something. Probably, you know, when it does hit and it goes off, and it does seem to last quite a while, to be fair. It does seem like it will be better when it's good, but worse when it's bad, if you get what I mean. So we'll have to see how that averages out overall. Let's talk about just general, though, and the general concept here. Let's actually come to the other video, because I think that's a bit better to explain this, because we can actually see the abilities. In this one here, right, you've only got one of each ability. Let's start with the high tide, actually, in terms of changing the high tide here, because this not being the signature anymore, I think is actually a little worse, right? If you think about it, you got one signature, which is just one smoke. That doesn't seem that great. I think I would rather have a high tide be the rechargeable, right? Because then early in the round, I can smoke something with the high tide, and then later in the round, I can as well, and I can smoke off multiple things. Here, I've got basically, you know, one smoke on I think it's a 40-second cooldown. We'll see when they use it here. Yeah, so 40-second cooldown for one smoke. One of the benefits of using Harbor is you had a rechargeable ability that could smoke multiple things off. Right, that was kind of one of the benefits of Harbor. Now, the rest of his kit is probably better than it was before, so that's, you know, offsetting that. But obviously, Harbor needs to, you know, get a lot better to see play. Is this better to have him see play? I think overall, yes. I think he will be better for this, because I think that Whirlpool ability does look fairly good. Certainly for attacking and clearing stuff, but also it's not terrible. Like, if you can throw it at a good point in a choke point, you know, people can't exec when they're nearsighted and slowed, for sure, right? So if you time it well, you know, you can stop an exec with it as well. Just taking a look here at the top left, kind of the ult, you can see that is pretty big. Will it make Harbor a lot better? I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it'll be better. I still am annoyed that the high tide slows everyone. I still think that's pretty bad design, but he will be better. I'm pretty sure about that. And giving you the choice of, you know, whether the Cove has a shield or not, I also like that. If the high tide and the Cove were still swapped around, like if the high tide was still the signature and the Cove was just this and it was that you could use once and choose to have a shield on it and place it anywhere, I might prefer that. I think that might be a little bit better, but let me know what you think in the comments down below.